Okay guys, I want to talk to everyone today in this video about the supposed gun show loophole. And I'm going to explain this, and this video is going to be very helpful, especially to those people that live in more restrictive states like New York, California, Massachusetts, Illinois, as well as a few others that I can't remember off the top of my head. There is no such thing as a gun show loophole. Okay, I'm going to have to get into a little bit of Ohio laws and explain some of the things, and some other states out there are the same as Ohio, okay? Basically, in Ohio where I live, if you want to sell a gun, any gun that you can legally purchase from a firearms store, if you want to sell that gun, you can sell that gun privately to an individual. No paperwork, no permit to buy card, nothing. You can look in the newspaper, you can get on a forum online, and you can send a message and say, hey, I want to buy this gun, I'll give you this much for it. If he agrees to the terms, just say, okay, I'll meet you at Bob Evans off of the highway there, and you plan to meet, and you meet up, and you look at the gun, and if you like it, you buy it. The only thing that you do have to do is make sure that the person that you are selling the firearm to is an Ohio resident. So normally what we do is you just take your driver's license and you put your thumb over all the information, like your name, your address, and things like that, and you show your picture, and then they can see the seal of the state of Ohio. Okay. I also look at their license plates as well when I pull up, just to kind of double check to make sure that they're Ohio plates. But that's as far as you have to go. You really don't want to give your name and your info and address out there to people, especially if you're buying a gun from them, because you just never know. I have been buying and selling guns privately, face-to-face transactions for years. Probably 15 years. 15 years I've been doing this, and I have never had one incident at all. Anything bad happen. I've had a gun I got before, and there was a little mark or something here or there that I didn't notice when I was first looking at it when I went to buy it from the person, and things like that. But I never had one shady character or somebody that gave me red flags that I was dealing with. In fact, most of all these guys that I've dealt with through the local forums and that have all been really, really nice people. Go above and beyond of what most people do, and that's the fact of the matter. Okay, so let me get to the supposed gun show loophole. Okay, when you go to a gun show in Ohio, a private citizen can bring in a firearm. It can be a rifle, shotgun, handgun. Oh, and by the way, there is no restrictions on any of that. Rifle, shotgun, handgun, anything that you can buy at the gun store, you can legally do a face-to-face transaction with in Ohio privately with no paperwork, and that's anything from handguns on up. So you go to the gun show, you can bring a rifle, shotgun, revolver, pistol, whatever you want. When you walk into the gun show, there are police officers at the entrances, and they check the firearms to make sure they're unloaded, that you're carrying, and they put a white zip tie through it so that you can't load them, and it just kind of shows on a semi-auto, it'll, like, the action will be back a little bit and you'll have a zip tie through there, so in plain view of everyone is basically that this gun's clear. In a revolver they'll use a zip tie and your cylinder won't close. So when you enter the gun show, you can bring a gun with you that you maybe are thinking about trading or selling, and an individual can make you offers on that gun. They can just see you walking around and come up, ask you what you want for it. They can offer you a trade. And it's perfectly legal while in this gun show to sell this other party your handgun face-to-face, no paperwork. Now, any and all of the gun stores that have a business that's set up at the gun show, which is probably 90% of what's there, they have to abide by the rules of the ATF and do the 4473 form for you to purchase a firearm. See, some of these people would have you to believe that you just walk into a gun show, and whoever comes there and brings a gun, you can just go pick it up off the table and throw down a wad of cash, and that is not the case whatsoever. Anybody that has an FFL licensed business must use the same law that they use inside of their store when they're in the gun show. You fill out the 4473. They call an instant background check. You either get accepted or denied right over the phone. You purchase the gun with the money. The gun is now on papers, and you leave. Only the private citizens that come in and bring their own firearms to either trade or sell can do a face-to-face in the gun show. So there really is no gun show loophole. It's just a private citizen that's allowed to sell property that he bought to another guy that he meets and checks it out and sees if that's what he wants, and if he likes it, he gives you the money, and you go on your way. That's all it is, guys. There's nothing more to it than that. Now, I'm sure you guys in these restrictive states, these are things that you've probably never seen, and you never will see things like that in your state. I can't see it going backwards and allowing private sales of firearms if they do not allow that now. I can't see that ever changing. Basically, that's one of the things that I feel that they're going to try to push through the hardest, is to have it to where nobody can do private sales. So what would happen is, if they would make it to where there is no private transactions allowed to take place, now if I list a gun on the internet, I have to meet with the guy that wants to buy it at the FFL, fill out paperwork, pay a fee on top of what the gun costs that he's buying, have a check called in, and then he can take the gun and go. Now, let me also explain this about the law. I kind of forgot this point. It's your duty to know if they are from Ohio. That's your only obligation when you do a face-to-face transfer of a gun in Ohio. If a person messages me on the local forum, and I have a gun listed, and he says, I want to purchase this firearm, we set up a place to meet, and this guy has a felony or felonies, and he meets me where we decided to meet, and he buys the gun off of me, there is no fault on the seller. The fault lies on the buyer. Only the person that has the felony or felonies are responsible to know whether they're allowed to own the firearm or not. So you're not going to get in trouble if that would happen. And I don't believe, I honestly 100% with everything in me don't believe I've ever sold a gun to a felon. These guys have feedback on these forums. Other guys know them. A lot of these guys go shooting together in groups, and it's kind of like a big group on there. And all these guys I deal with, I don't believe I've ever sold a gun to a felon. Never had any of those red flags. But the responsibility is not on the seller. The responsibility is on the buyer to know that he is not allowed to have those items, which is how it should be. You can't blame a seller for selling to someone that has a felony if he has no way of checking. So that's how it works. The person that has a felony has a responsibility to know that they can't own the gun. If they buy it, they've committed the offense. They've broken the law. Okay, now, what I believe is this is going to be one of the biggest hitting points that's going to come out with these new gun bans and different things that they're going to try to put in place. They don't want any private face-to-face transactions. And I don't see that there's been a problem with that in this country in the states that allow it, which are not all states, so check all your local laws. But I don't see any big problem within the states where that's allowed to be done. What I feel that this is a push for is for setting up for one day total gun registry. Okay, also in Ohio, there is no gun registry. You don't register anything. You know, I'll have a gun and people say, is that registered to your name? there is no gun registry in Ohio. Yeah, there is in New York as well as other states. I don't know all the states to list off to you. There is no gun registry in Ohio. The only paperwork that is on that gun when you buy it at the store is the ATF form 4473 that you fill out and answer the questions, and the gun store uses to call in your information for the instant background check. That is the only document that links you to that gun. There is no registry. Can't register a gun if you tried. I've had people buy a gun and they talk to me about it and they're a new firearm owner. They'll say, where do I register this? I'll say, you don't register it. But in any event, I believe that having all sales on paper is a step toward full gun registration. And I'm going to explain to you why that is a bad, slippery slope to go down in this country. Once everything is registered, okay, and everything is on paper, if they ever want to pass a law or a bill, like they're trying right now, that would ban AR-15s, AK-47s, and other variants, and they want to do a mandatory confiscation or buyback, they can just tap on the computer screen and go right down the list and see exactly your address, where you live, and they'll come knocking on your door. They know exactly what you have. That's exactly what this is. It's a push toward total gun registry. And why that's a bad thing is, like I said, because when they start wanting to confiscate guns, that's the only way they can really do it, because in Ohio they would have a hard time confiscating people's guns unless you told them what you had, because nobody knows if you bought used. If you bought guns used privately, face-to-face, nobody knows. I could have 50 AR-15s sitting in a crate right now of all these ARs that I've bought individually through the years. I don't. I'm just speaking generally. But if I'd bought 50 AR-15s face-to-face transactions through the years, I could have these guns in my home somewhere in a big, huge box. And the only person that ever knows that I have those AR-15s is the guy that saw my face when we did the sale. Okay? Nobody from the state, nobody from the city, nobody knows. So if they made mandatory confiscation or mandatory buyback, they wouldn't know I exist. I wouldn't be on radar. I would have all these guns, and they would have no way of knowing, because I'm not giving them up. And that is what they want to get rid of. It's going to be total gun registry. So they can tap on the computer screen, click on my name, and they'll see every single model that I have, every single gun that I own, every one I've transferred, all the way down the list, what I've had through the years. They'll have better information than me, because I tend to forget through the years. That's what it's working toward. Total gun registry in the United States. And we all know what happens next after that starts to happen. Alright guys, I hope this explained the gun show loophole, supposed loophole to you. It doesn't exist. It's a term made up by the far left, of course, always in their pursuit to disarm law-abiding citizens. They just keep chipping and pushing and chipping away. They don't want the law-abiding citizens to be armed in this country or to protect ourselves or our families. Alright guys, until next time, this is H4T.